Welcome to The Craft. I'm your host, May Globus. This podcast is a collection of intimate conversations on artistry, mastery, and life with talented, passionately curious creatives and entrepreneurs. Most are dear friends, some are those I've admired from afar. I hope you enjoy these conversations, this exploration of the humanity that connects all of us, as much as I do having them. Thank you for being here and for listening. Mauvey is someone whose spirit just cannot be denied. The musician, songwriter, and artist, who recently signed a major deal with 604 Records, is on the precipice of the world getting to know and hear his music. He was born in Ghana as Ransford Laryea and raised in South Hampton in the UK, the son of a pastor. His parents worked 2 or 3 jobs, and he and his sisters grew up in a household that still upheld the Ghanaian culture. As a teenager, adversity turned on Mauvey's resilience to full blast. Working hard, he became a star basketball player, leading him to play in Europe professionally for a number of years, including in Denmark and for England's national team. A tragedy struck during his time in Europe, causing him to hang up his basketball shoes. As solace, he turned to his longtime love for creative writing, churning out poems, essays, novels, and songs. Eventually, Mauvey started going to open mics and then, with no experience, organized himself a world tour and played a slew of shows and festivals, gaining the attention of stations like BBC Radio 1. In this conversation, we go deep into his childhood, how the bullying he experienced growing up pushed him to pick up new skills, why coachability is an important trait to have, his journey to becoming a pro basketball player, signing his major deal with 604 Records, new music coming out, why spreading love is essential to him, and much more. Please enjoy this conversation with this brilliant star, the resilient, perceptive, and eternally talented Mauvey. Mauvey, welcome to The Craft.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
I'm so happy you're here.
I'm ecstatic that I'm here. I'm tiny bit nervous, but it's good nerves.
Yeah. Well, I love connecting dots on how I met guests. And I actually only met you a few weeks ago through Jay, who's one of my sound engineers. And she told me, you've got to meet this guy, Mauvey. He's incredible. He'd be wonderful for your podcast, but mostly you just need to meet him. So I'm very happy that she introed us.
Yeah, no, honestly, Jay, I love Jay. Like, that's as simple as I can make it. So I'm excited that even when I'm not there, it's like, I've got great friends who are saying good things about me. So,
Yeah, nothing but wonderful things. And then we also found out that we have my good friend, Nate Sabine, he was my second guest on The Craft. You also know him as well.
Yeah, we've just started kind of communicating. I feel like it's real when it's off Instagram. Like when you communicate and you got someone's number and you actually communicate outside of that social sphere, you can call it a real connection. So
yeah, for sure.
We're just chatting away and finding that we've got a lot of things in common, which is cool.
He's a great person to have in your world for sure. Yeah. So tell me, let's take it way back.
Yes.
Tell me about your childhood. You were born in Ghana, raised in South Hampton, England.
Yeah.
And your real name is Ransford Laryea.
Yeah.
I hope I said that right.
Yeah.
Tell me about childhood.
Yeah, I mean, I don't remember much from Ghana itself. I'm heading back there at the beginning of next year, which is going to be like a great homecoming. But my parents speak the language. They taught us, like, that's how we communicate at home, and we eat the food. So it feels like whatever house we've lived in, that has been Ghana. That's what I know of Ghana is the houses that my parents raised my sisters and I in. But one thing that was super clear for me from literally the first day is just how hardworking my parents were. They came to England, I'm sure, like a lot of people with nothing, and then both actually with 3 kids, so a little bit more than nothing. But yeah, and then they just put us through the best schools. We all went to private schools. They worked like 2-3 jobs to put us in those positions. And so I can just always remember my mum and dad working unbelievably hard, but then having the exact amount of time with us that we needed. My dad took me to every single sports practice, whatever sport it was. He was at every single one, but then he also worked 2 jobs. And it was only when I was like maybe 18 or something like that that I'm like, how do they do it? Like, how do they get enough money for like this crazy expensive school? How do they send me to this country? How do they do this? How do they give me this opportunity? How are they there? Like they remember moments because they were there. And I'm like, how do they do it all? So it's I think that's what I remember the most, is just them being there and working unbelievably hard for my sisters and I. Yeah.
Your dad was a pastor, or is, as we were chatting in just before we started recording. What's he like?
So I mean, my dad is, the reason why I say he is and not was is because I feel like it's more than a job, and it's not necessarily tied to like one religion even, you know, that kind of pastoral figure. That's kind of what my dad is, you know. Everybody loves my dad. He's super wise. He is just has the best stories. He's, you know, great with defending people, and that's what he's kind of taught me, to be measured in how I treat people. And you know, everybody's different. You can't, you know, like I rarely, very rarely just like flip out. And that's because of my dad, you know, how he gets mad sometimes for sure, but like he was very, just pastoral. Was there to listen, there to give good advice.
I imagine he's even keeled.
Yeah, he's just, I mean, if you get him talking about like certain topics, he can be like pretty animated. But just one thing I say, like, this is just kind of captures my dad. He worked in the post room at a university, and this is like one of the biggest universities in England. It's called South Hampton University, and he pretty much knew like everyone's name, like because he had to deliver to all the departments, like students, faculty, or staff, or everybody. Like he knew them by name, and that's just how my dad is. Like, you know, he's not just going to gloss over, you know, he'll remember what you told him 2 years ago, you know, things like that. So that's what I'd say about him.
And your mom?
My mum, I mean, I've just like showered my dad with praise, but my mum is like the absolute glue to the family. Like she's literally an absolute beast. Like she came from Ghana with us, took care of us. Like both my mum and dad cook, but my mum, obviously, she was like amazing cook. Put herself through university to kind of retrain to get into a different sector of work. She's just like, my mum's everybody's mum. I think that's everyone feels like that when they're around my mum. She really is like a mum. She's just a really awesome mum, like, you know.
A big warm hug.
That's exactly what my mum is, yeah. So she's just so important to our whole family. Just really keeps everything together and keeps all of us together. So yeah.
And what about you? What were you like as a kid and teenager?
I think I was pretty energetic throughout, really, and a lot of stuff happened to me in my life, but I think I've always kept my energy and like the zest for life. And you know, when I was before I went to, throughout school, I was bullied a lot. And for lots of different reasons, like I got bullied because I'm the only black person in the school. I got bullied because I actually liked biology. I got bullied because I couldn't play sports. Lots of different things, and uh, I I can just remember it never phasing me. Like I didn't need someone to tell me, hey, you'll get through it, or like you're worthy. Like I don't know how, but and I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but like I was always had the ability to like pick myself up and be like, okay, like they think this, I'm gonna do this. They said I can't do this. Well, I'm going to do this solely because they said I can't do this, and then I'm going to excel over and above. Like, and that could be from like teachers. Like I remember, this is the dumbest thing, but I remember um, I I guess we're gonna talk about it a little bit later, but like I played basketball growing up, and I had to play a tournament for England. I was playing for the national team, and we had to go to like Italy or something, and so I had to leave school early because we had to catch a flight or whatever. It was like a Friday, and I left. Everybody knew, the teacher knew, everybody, and as I was leaving, this maths teacher was like, the typical like, you're, what are you gonna do? Play basketball all your life? Just the way she kind of like belittled me in front of the class. And in my mind, at that exact moment, I was like, yeah, actually, that's exactly what I'm gonna do. Like before then, that wasn't the goal. But I guess I was just super petty as a kid and a teenager. I'm like, that's what okay, great. Like that's exactly what I'm gonna do. And now, because of you, and you probably don't even care, but because of you, I'm going to get myself to a point in my life where I'm going to earn a living from doing the exact thing that you said I can't do. So that's what I remember from being young, just that determination, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And belief
Yeah,
in
just
oneself.
incredible belief that
Mm.
I can never, you know, my parents never told me I couldn't do anything, and maybe that's where it came from, but they were never like pushy. Like if I didn't want to go to basketball practice, I didn't have to go to basketball practice. If I didn't want to, the only thing they were pushy on was schoolwork. But they never. So I don't know where I got that from, but like I really like had the determination to win, and to not be denied. Like I refused to be denied. Like, and that even to today, like that's just how I am as a person. I'm just not going to be denied. If I want to do something, I'm going to do it.
Mm-hmm. And that's exactly what you did. You
Yeah.
became a basketball player
Yeah.
that made a living
Mhm.
off of that. You played in Kentucky during high school, and then you eventually went pro, and you played for a top European league in Denmark and in England in the BBL.
Mhm. Yeah.
That's pretty incredible. And I remember you saying that you weren't naturally gifted, but you just worked incredibly hard instead.
Yeah. I mean, the only thing that I had, I was really, really fast. So I did track and field as well. And so other than that, it, you know, I'm not 6'10" and have this crazy natural ability, but I just knew from early on that like if I work harder than everybody else, I'm going to be successful. And then that has taken me everywhere I've been, and also being coachable as well, and having the ability to listen. So I feel like those two things are even more important than the hard work. Like if you're someone who is coachable, like if you can listen to a coach, whether they speak nicely to you or yell at you, like how do you respond when someone tells you that you got something that you got to do better? If someone tells you that you suck at something, are you going to cry about it, or are you going to actually be like, yeah, actually I do suck at it, and even if I don't suck at it, even if I think I'm the best at it, you are saying I suck at it, so I'm going to be better at that thing. And if that person is in any type of authoritative position, like a coach, for example, instead of me thinking, oh my gosh, the coach hates me, like I'm gonna, but I'm really, really good anyway. I'm like, no, I might be the best thing that has ever touched a basketball court, but this coach thinks I suck and I'm playing for this coach. So therefore, I am now going to work even harder and succeed for that coach. Because when the season's over, or when my time with that team's over, I'm only going to get better. If I put more effort into it, it's not like he is going to get better from me working harder. And it's the same thing in lots of different scenarios. It can be academia or entertainment or whatever it is. So working harder is not going to hurt you, and it doesn't make the other person better. It doesn't make any of your doubters or quote quote haters better. It only makes you better to work hard. So that's the kind of mindset I had from literally the first day I started playing basketball. I started playing basketball because I got bullied, and I was told, aren't black people supposed to be good at basketball, by this like random kid at school? And I guess like Michael Jordan, I was like, I really took that personally. Like I took offense to that. So I was like, okay, well, this summer I'm going to live up to that, to your like expectations that meant nothing. So he gained nothing from me improving my skill level at basketball, but that it only helped me. And for 2 seconds I proved that human being wrong.
But you were improved for the long run.
But I was improved forever. And you know, I don't play basketball to any high level now, but playing team sports, you know, being coachable, like working hard on my craft, day in and day out, one foot in front of the other. All these things are things that I needed and need in where I am now. So I didn't enjoy that as a motivation, and I was speaking the other day about like wanting to change narratives and origin stories. So for example, I want to do this because I want to distribute love, or I want to do this because I want to help my family, not I want to do this because Sally down the road told me that I couldn't do it.
Right.
I don't want that to be the origin story, and it has been the origin story of a lot of things in my life. But you know, that I'm excited to be able to create new narratives that are that have an origin story of something like from a place of positivity and just not negative.
Right. Yeah. And that's part of the growth process, right? Right. I can see as a young person, hey, you're like, I'm going to prove you wrong. But as you get older and wiser, you're like, oh, well, that shouldn't be the purpose.
Right. The drive. Right.
Well, I'm just thinking about what you're saying about coachability being an important trait and reflecting upon it. I'm like, yeah, that's a really good one, because that means you can take constructive criticism and not take it personally and just evolve.
Yeah. Literally just get better. Like it's so key. It's so key, especially with young people, that they grasp that you're not getting better for anyone else, and you trying harder, that doesn't make anybody else better. That makes you better. You not trying hard, again, it doesn't make anybody better or worse. It makes you worse. Like all of these things, someone can say to you like, I don't like how you do this. Okay, like what are you gonna do? Like, are you gonna stop doing it, wallow in, oh my gosh, this person put so much weight into this person's opinion about this or that? Or are you going to get some tunnel vision and then work at it? Like every criticism, and you mentioned constructive criticism, even if it's not constructive criticism, like that can be dangerous. If it's like I hate you, I hate the way you look, and obviously there's things that are just not constructive, and you have to be able to decipher these things for yourself. But especially if you're in a space, like there are some toxic coaches as well. There are some toxic leaders as well. So they're not all you aren't always going to have great people who want the best for you. So they're people, you can have coaches or teachers or mentors or whoever who actually don't want the best for you and can lead you into a path. So you're going to have to monitor and discern for yourself what is being said and delivered to you. But at the end of the day, it still reigns true. Like you putting your head down and work is only getting you better. It's not getting anybody else better.
Right. Yeah. And I suppose you're talking about the ones that are more toxic. Those are the people who help you build a thick skin through adversity.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think for me, and I know that's not the case for everybody. It can be quite destructive. But for me, I guess I'm just realizing like I'm so sensitive, but I won't be denied. So like it affected me in some way, and like I might be really upset, and I might have not forgotten every. I think that's the worst part about me. If I have to say one thing, is I remember every single thing, every sentence, every detail. I remember everything, and that's good and bad. Like I remember every slight. Like literally, it's not. I can't actually say that I've gotten over anything because I haven't. Like from like even something like from girlfriend number 1 to now, I remember everything, everything in every scenario of my life. I've developed thick skin enough to not be denied, but I still am really sensitive about stuff. But the point is that no one's going to make me quit what I'm doing, and that's so I would rather, I guess I'm saying I'm happy to take what comes with that, rather than not having any of it, and maybe not being strong enough to actually continue when things are difficult.
Right. Let's put a pin on that thought, because I'd like to loop it into something else later on. Tell me about how you got into, actually, let's go back again. I'd love to learn more about your experience playing professional basketball and what that was like for you and what you feel it gave you.
Yeah, I mean, the journey was quite difficult to get onto a roster. So 12 to 15 players out of millions of players who there's only a finite amount of rosters in the world, so regardless of what pro league. So I was really blessed to be able to get to that spot. I didn't have an agent, and I wasn't coming from like a big basketball country. I didn't go to college in the States. So I actually flew myself to practices. It wasn't even like scheduled workouts. I wasn't invited anywhere. Like I emailed teams, bought myself a ticket. I didn't take no for an answer. Like sometimes I didn't get a response. I would just check when their practices were, fly to that country, be at the practice, and then my flight back home was like the next day. And I was really fortunate. I organized being able to go to a couple of practices in Copenhagen, and I knew that I had to win the coaches over at basketball, but also off the court. I had to show them in a very short space of time that like, this is why you need to give me an opportunity to play on this team. There were 2 like veteran point guards ahead of me, so I hardly played. And I think for a lot of people, like, oh my gosh, you didn't play, like, my experience, I got to practice with like elite players every single day in and day out. I got to learn about work ethic. I got to learn about like taking care of everybody, and so all these things are like invaluable. And so that, I think those the main parts is that I didn't take, I went to so many places. I went to Germany, I went to Switzerland, I went to Iceland, just to, try and get on a roster, because I refused to be denied. Like I was like, I'm not leaving this summer without getting on the team, period. And so it was really great to be able to actually come out of the other end and have actually got what I wanted.
What do you think it was about you that made the team in Copenhagen take a chance on you?
I mean, I wasn't a terrible player, so I think I was able to add some value there. But I think more than anything is that I actually ultimately convinced them that I was coachable, and that I wanted to get better, and then I was someone who was like there for the right reasons. So I think that was that was important. But it's really cutthroat in European, pretty much. It's cutthroat in every league, but you don't get like guaranteed contracts in Europe. And I'm not going to get into it, but like the scenario in Denmark didn't end well in a lot of different ways, and it's stuff that I still think about today. But I think that it's a really cutthroat scenario in Europe. We had players who got sent home. I mean, some of the players who were getting like real money, they got sent home because they didn't perform that weekend. And that can happen because there's so many players who want to play, and this person's not performing, so the team just brings another person in.
I
So
see.
you don't know what's gonna happen tomorrow. And I think that's, if you just make a roster in a scenario like that off of your talent, and then you don't perform, and talent is all you have, it's easy for someone to replace you. I was not the best player, but I did not get replaced because I didn't get on that roster just because of my talent.
Right.
And so it was a bit more than that. They knew I flew to that country uninvited. They knew I organized 3 days of stuff by myself. I organized the workouts. I organized the meetings. I took the meetings by myself. I was articulate enough to communicate what I wanted, what I could deliver, all of these things completely by myself. And they had to have been impressed by that.
Right.
Because I'm sure that's not normal for players to do.
Right. Yeah.
So
It's a lot of willpower,
Yeah.
like sheer willpower.
And you have to manage the obvious desperation of wanting to do it, which there's so many pros that they're desperate to get on the roster, like absolutely desperate. So you have to manage that desperation and also have like an actual business conversation with somebody, and in some way make them feel like they really want you, as opposed to you're just desperate to get on their roster, because that's not enough. Just show, they can argue back, well, everybody wants to play. Why you? So lots of different factors for sure, but I just think I wasn't going to get denied. So if it wasn't there, it would have been somewhere else.
You'd have flown to another country.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's go into the next chapter of your life, which is more creative. You experienced a huge loss in your life, and that was the loss of your best friend. And that caused you to take some pause and led to this period of creativity, creative writing, poems, short stories, essays, novels, and then songs.
Yeah. Well, I mean, my first memory of like writing or doing anything creative was when I went to prep school in Kentucky. It was so weird because I've been thinking like, man, I had to have started before then. Or curiosity, like I didn't like read a ton of books as a kid. It's not like I didn't, but I can't remember, having reading being such a thing, or jumping into stories or anything like that. So when I got to school there, I had a teacher. She was in my homeroom, but also my creative writing teacher. I didn't even know that creative writing was like a class, but I was like, oh, this is awesome. So I, I I absolutely loved the class from like the first day, and I asked, I was like, I really want to be good at writing, and so the teacher, her name's Alice Lindsley. She asked me to write a poem like every day, and then she would grade it and like kind of help me. And like the first couple of poems, it was like 3 pages back to back, like describing every single thing. Like, it was just a lot. And as far as a communicator, I feel like I am detailed and descriptive and things like that. And she taught me how to turn like 3 pages into like 3 lines, and being able to say something that impactful just with less words, and that literally that changed my whole life. The repetitions, the writing every single day, and I was there at the school, this prep school for basketball, so I was playing basketball twice a day, and then that work ethic that I learned from like just all my years of basketball. Like, if you're going to get better, that every other player on your team is probably more gifted than you. Like, so in order for you to play at all, you have to work harder than them. It's the same thing with my writing. I'm like, I have to work at it, because maybe there's some talent there, but I need to work. I need to get better. And very quickly, when she started really letting me know, like, oh wow, this is something that you're really good at. Like, you could really do something with writing. I then got like really confident in my ability, and then I was like, okay, well, whenever I achieve any level of success in something, I just want to be better. Like, I don't think I've ever been like, oh yeah, that's awesome, I'm good. It's almost like the beginning of something bad for people around me, but great for me. It's like, if I figure out that I'm good at something, I'm like, well, I've got to be the best in the world at it. Like, that's the only thing I've got to do now. Like, I have to be the absolute best at this, not just, oh, you're talented at this. Like, when I started playing basketball, I went from 0 to like, I have to be on the England team. Like, very quickly, I couldn't even really play, and I wanted to be on the England team. But I set that as a goal, and then I achieved that goal. But with writing, it's like the same thing. So, I knew that if I worked hard enough, I can do something with writing. So she really inspired me to do that, and so I wrote a poem every day. And then, I won a few awards for creative writing and for my poems. I wrote a poem about Marian Anderson, who she has an amazing story, a Black woman in America, and so I actually wrote it for Black History Month, and then I wrote a short story about the end of the world, and that was kind of the first thing that was like published. And I won some money at school for a library, and then after that I just forgot about writing. I don't know, after I graduated, started basketball, and a friend who I made at the school in Kentucky, when we both kind of, I think he went to Purdue University, and yeah, it was a tough story. We were best friends in school. He is like the opposite of me. So like 7'1", we called him PlayStation, because he like literally, he jumped like it was like in a game. He was top 50 ranked in the country, like amazing, but just honestly, just like an absolute energy. Like, he smiled, and when people say, "Oh, he's got $1 million smile," like this guy has like $1 billion smile, like just skin perfect, like just handsome, great athlete, funny, light-hearted. You can talk to him about anything, just the perfect human being. Um, and I'm just like, oh man, like this, he's like a superstar. Like he's actually, this is what, it's not a normal person. This is like a superstar. And when, yeah, so he he'd got into the development league, the NBA development league, and then I was actually on Skype with him, um, and we were just talking about like our situations. I was in Denmark, he was in the States, and we were just talking back and forth. And I'm like, yeah, this is like what's happening with me, like just dumb stuff. I was like, I've got like heated floors, like this is crazy, blah blah blah. We're just going back and forth about what's going on. And then he was like, oh, I will, yeah, I just got to go real quick. And so he just left Skype, and then he just like never came back. And it's I it's it is the weirdest thing, because I remember it like it was like a second ago, but just to be waiting there for like days, like waiting there, like what is going on. And his amazing sister emailed me and like let me know that he had passed away. And yeah, it really broke my heart. And I started looking at things a lot differently after that. And it was, yeah, I started writing and like just kind of writing my thoughts out. And I remember the first song, it was like a poem, but it was called Valedictorian Speech. And it was just something that I wrote for him as like if I was the valedictorian, like, speaking about, if he was a valedictorian, then I was speaking on his behalf. It was just like, and it was this, but yeah, that was a pretty crazy situation, but it kind of sparked like, I need to do more than I'm doing right now. So even that early on, like I only just started playing at that level, I knew that like, I need to do something. I didn't know what it was, but I was like, I need to do something, not this.
Something different.
Something different, yeah. So.
And then you started writing a lot.
Yeah, just started really writing. I played a few more years. I played in the BBL, so I played a few more years of kind of high-ish level basketball, and then I was like, I'm done. Like I wasn't injured. I didn't get kicked off a team. I just was done. I knew I needed to. I knew I needed to do something. I didn't know what it was, so I just moved home, and I wrote short stories. I wrote poems and loads of poems, and I began a novel. I wrote outlines for so many different novels, and then I just worked. I worked initially at like a clothing store, and then I worked at a hotel just to kind of get money in. But I was mourning and kind of grieving, but at the same time I was really trying to figure out what I was gonna do, and I actually didn't communicate what I was actually going through with anybody, like really properly. Like I didn't really say like, this is for real why I didn't want to play, and this is what I'm doing. Like I'd give, like, someone asked me, I'd give them the answer that was palatable for them to hear, and this person, I'd give them the answer that's palatable for them to hear, but nothing of any real substance or truth at that point, if I'm honest. It was just yeah. And then it was like I knew it was music. It wasn't a specific time that I knew it was music, but like the poems, I was really interested in like folk music, and the storytelling of country music. Not country music in general, but just the storytelling aspect of country music, and the songwriters in like blues music and things like that. And so I started listening, and then my poems started becoming these like stories that were had melody to them. And then I started writing these folk songs, and just writing them, not really singing them because I didn't know how to sing. And then the short stories, then the folk songs started turning into like spoken word. Like it's very easy to turn like poetry to spoken word. It's kind of like a easy transition, and that kind of informed and laid the groundwork for how I rap. And it took me a long time to just be comfortable with like, this is how I sing. It's not like how people sing. And this is how I rap. It's not like how people rap. I did not want to be, and I already felt like a pretender because I'm an athlete. I'm not a musician. So then I didn't want to then create this thing where I'm like, sound like this artist or sound like this artist. So I have people that I look up to and I love, but I really wanted people to be able to hear me and be like, that's Mauvey. Eventually I wasn't Mauvey at the time, but like, that's just him, that's who he is. So I went to open mics, and I think lots of people were singing like cover songs, but I never learned covers because I just learned my own songs. Because I didn't know the etiquette. Like all I ever did was write my own songs. And so when I came in, I just sang my own songs in that first open mic, and nobody hated it, but like I made a bunch of mistakes, and the crucial thing was going back the second week. And after I did that second week, I was like, okay, this is just like basketball. Like, if I keep working hard, I'm going to get better at this. The same way as when I started writing. I'm like, I got better at writing. And when I did my first open mic, I was confident as a writer. Like, I knew I could write. I've been writing for a few years at that point. And I'm like, people don't know yet, but I am one of the best writers that they're ever gonna read. I knew that in my mind. And even if, like, I told myself that, but now I have to learn how to sing. Now I have to learn how to rap. Now I have to learn how to like think of unique melodies. And that was the next challenge. Like, if I work at this, I'm going to get better at this. Yeah.
And you hustled even more and organized a world tour for yourself, not knowing how to do that.
Yeah. So we're at the timeline when I'm now of like, for almost a year, I have like played live, open mics. I put together a band. We like sold out the first show. This band was awesome. And then I thought to myself, like, we did like about almost 20 festivals that summer. I remember reaching out to hundreds of festivals. Honestly, about 1,000 festivals that I physically emailed myself. And I was like, if I get like 2, I'm happy, because like, no one's reaching out to me. Ended up getting about 20 festivals that summer and just really packing out the schedule. And I thought, like, if I can do that, I may as well just book a world tour. I don't know why that was the obvious next step for me. But I was like, the thing that I need right now is repetitions. Like, I want to be a great live performer, so I've got to get the shows in which to do that. So instead of just kind of doing it all locally, I just said to the band, like, hey, so basically I'm going on a world tour. Do you guys want to come? And like, they all laughed, and I think they all gave it serious thought, but it wasn't going to work out for them. A few of them had work, a few of them had university and other commitments, but one member was like, yeah, from the very, like, he didn't even think about it. Like, he was like, yeah, I can do it. And his dad helped financially, like, and he just said, I will do wherever you want to go, I will come and I'll play. And so the band was over at that point because I was going on this world tour. And, sounds so funny saying it. And then yeah, and then this guy, his name's Benny Jones, is still like one of my best friends, such a talented guitarist. And now things are full circle, we get to do a lot of the exciting things that we talked about on the world tour. But anyways, yeah, I booked like 30 shows in 30 days in New Zealand. I booked like 15 shows in Australia, the East Coast, the United States. Like, we're based in New York, but 15 shows there. On the West Coast, 15 shows there. We're based in San Francisco. England, we had like a mini tour there. So I went into a library and I contacted every single venue. I then researched who had played at that venue to inform who I was going to get the support. I contacted like all the local acts who wanted to play. A bunch of them, so I got the lineups there. Then I communicated with each of them over the months leading up to the show, and just to make sure that they were like, bringing people to the show, because no one knows me in New Zealand. Or and then I booked travel, in-country transport, like flights, accommodation, food, like I did absolutely every aspect of the tour. Number one, because I wanted to know how it all worked, and number two, because I just did not want to I was not going to be denied. I didn't want to leave for someone else, for them to fail me in any way. And I didn't want to be mad at anybody, so I'm like, well, just do it yourself. And then I did, and it was so great. Our first show in New Zealand was in Christchurch, was sold out, and I'm like, and that was because of the supports and then the venue, and but being able to replicate that in so many places that we went to, being able to get residencies at hotels in exchange for stay at the hotel, or things like that. It was a great experience business-wise. We lost a lot of money on the tour because things happened that I didn't expect. Like, the van broke down in New Zealand, so I had to hire a van for pretty much the whole tour. It broke down on like the second show, so you had to factor into that cost. And the point is, we got back home safely, and for so long I had, there's certain people along my journey who have made me feel like, oh, that's a waste of money, or like, who do you think you are going on a tour? Like, the shows aren't sold out, you're not playing arenas, what's the point of, like? And I thought to myself, like, it is an achievement. That 2015 year was an achievement, a massive achievement in my life. It's only very, very recently that I've actually been like not a lot of people can do that. Can roll up their sleeves and put together something like that. And so I'm not going to let anybody make me feel like it was. I am only here today because I went on that tour in 2015.
Right.
And
and you learned a whole lot.
I learned a huge amount, even how to manage my voice. Like, I remember the first rehearsal in New Zealand. So what we actually did was we had like rehearsals in each place we went to. It was like another strategy to get people to come to the show. So, I wanted to fill out the band, but we only had me and Benny. So we had auditions to get people to audition for parts in the band, hopefully so that those people could bring their people to the shows as well. So at the first rehearsal, once we got the band for New Zealand, I was so excited. I actually performed in the rehearsal, hitting all the high notes, like yelling, like getting, and then I realized that you're the main communicator on this tour. You are the tour manager. You're all these things. You're the only person who's communicated with all this band, so you got to speak to everybody. And after the first show, my voice was just like done.
Yeah.
And my vocal cords were on a string for 9 months. And I thought, okay, this is it. I will never be able to sing again after this tour. And it took so long to get everything back to how it needed to be. But
you wouldn't have known that though unless you experienced that.
I did that, yeah. I had nobody. I didn't have a teacher. With singing, I taught myself. With rapping, I taught myself. With writing, I taught, other than Alice Lindsley, I taught myself how to write songs. and how to communicate. Like, I don't play an instrument, but I produce my music. So like just being able to see everything, being able to know how to communicate this to Benny so he can play this, or, you know, so it was by far the most valuable thing that I've ever done. And it was the reason I'm so emphatic about, you know, being proud of myself for that, is because I spent so much time thinking that it was a failure because I didn't make money. Like, and these things have been communicated to me by people who will never do anything to that level. Like, who are completely happy with mediocrity. And I'm not even pulling any punches. That I actually completely mean that. They're completely happy with mediocrity in their own lives, and that's what they expect for everybody else's lives. And if you want to do anything outside the box, and I'm saying people, we all know who those sorts of people are. There are an abundance of those people, not just well, they're no longer in my actual life, but in my sphere and on the planet. People who are going to feel entitled to tell you that this is a waste of money. They could even be your parents. This is a waste of money. This is this. You need to go and do this. You need to get a regular job. All of these things. But I took that significant risk at that time because I did not have another choice. There were so many things on the line. Like, one of the biggest driving factors for me was I use the word avenge, not because I'm gonna go out and kill anybody, but I wanted to avenge my friend. Like, I wanted to be something. I wanted to be something, and I wanted to be somebody. Like for him, I wanted to be something for him. I wanted to be something for my family, and I want, you know, and so that's the motivation in which I went out in. And for so long, I can't even tell you, like years. It felt like longer than it actually was, really, because it was really like post 2015. But just I felt so like, oh my gosh, was that the right thing? Or I'd have to qualify it when I spoke to people. I went on this, didn't make money, but this, or this is but that. And I'm like, no, have you organized a world tour before? No.
Yeah, you own it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now I'm proudly communicate that, because like it wasn't an easy thing to do. Yeah.
Where did Mauvey come from?
Mauvey, so I really care about my actual name. My actual name's Ransford. I was named after my uncle, who was also a pastor, and he sadly died. But like, I think everyone who knew this man, like probably universally, everyone who knew this man knows that he's literally an angel. Like I don't think he's just a normal human being. I've said that about a few people today, but I really mean that. Like his presence every time he's in a room, it makes people feel so comfortable. It's just this majestic human being. It was a mentor to my dad, and like, you know, father figure to my mum. And then my mum and dad actually named me and my older sister after him and his wife. So my older sister's called Johanna after Auntie Johanna, and then Uncle Ransford, I was named after him. So I really care about that name, and I know this journey that I'm on with music and entertainment, and in this age of like social media, like people like they say what they want to say when they want to say it, and they do whatever they want. And so I wanted to create a character that can filter everything that people say, good or bad. Like, I don't want to get too high, I don't want to get too low, but I know that when they say, oh my gosh, Mauvey's amazing, they're talking about a character. I know if they say like Mauvey sucks, or I hate Mauvey, or go kill yourself, or something weird like that, I know they're talking about a character. So I, as a sensitive person, I really wanted to be able to have that character in place so that I don't get so personally affected by the opinions of people, good or bad. And so I wanted to be able to create a character, but how Mauvey came about is it was like 2017 New Year's Eve. I had been for months, for maybe from about September that year, 2017. I've been thinking about like my artist name because I had quit music in 2017. We're not going to get into that story today, but like it was the hardest year of my life, and I was like, who am I? You know, I do hip hop, I do pop, I do folk, I do indie alternative, I do a little bit of reggae. I do like, there's so many different styles of music that I do, and I was not happy with any name that I was thinking. I wasn't happy with any identity. And then I'm obsessed with colors, so I started looking through colors and thinking like, who am I? Like literally, and it was for months. And on New Year's Eve, my favorite color is purple, and I was getting, for that week, I was really obsessed with like the shades of purple. Then I'm like, okay, mauve is literally, when I ask someone, what color is mauve? No one can give me a straight answer. A straight answer doesn't exist. Like, it's a bit blue, it's a bit silver, it's a bit gray, it's a bit pink. It's a bit of so many things, and that literally is me as a musician and as a person. I've got multi-layers, multi-genres. I cannot be contained to one genre. I cannot be contained to one personality. Like, so when I said, so I'm a bit Mauvey, that's kind of what I said in that time. Then I'm like, oh, Mauvey, this is awesome. Wrote it down, and I was like, this is it. This is me, and it's the only thing that I've created that I've like, I don't want to change. I don't want to edit it. I don't want to, like, it's just me, you know. And now, like, I feel so at peace with the fact that like that actually is, yes, it's the character, but I really connect with this character.
And you've had a lot of support, you know, in the past few years. BBC Introducing, BBC Radio 1, British Arts Council Selector Radio, and much more. And huge congratulations on signing your recent record deal with 604 Records.
Yeah.
All of that is really huge. How does that feel?
Yeah, I mean, it's just, it feels great to have, to see some fruits for all the hard work. We were just saying off mic that it's until 2019, everything was like pre-season. I hadn't put out one song, and you know, at this point, I'm like over 3,000 songs written, and just like the practice, wanting to get better, performing, wanting to get better. So when I was ready in 2019, I was really, really, really lucky to be able to get like my first song played on BBC Introducing, and like Steph Newenhouse, who's like the BBC Introducing DJ in South Hampton, my hometown, has supported me from literally the very first song, and opened me up to getting support from Hugh Stevens on Radio 1, and now Gemma Bradley on Radio 1. So, I mean, it's the champions that I've had, like in my hometown in Southampton, here in Vancouver, like unbelievable. I've done a lot of work by myself, but like to get to that next level, it's been, you know, crucial help from like Music BC, from BBC Radio, from promoters, different key people, even Jay, being able to put in a good word for me here, or doing this here, and you know, a lot of support. And it was when I saw that support, that's what kind of really informed when I was saying earlier that I want the reason I do things to be like for a good reason, and not because I'm mad that this person said I couldn't. Now I've got people who are saying that I can. You know, I've got people who are like, we think you can do this, here's this opportunity. we think you can do this here, this opportunity. And that's kind of culminated with this opportunity with 604, which I still can't believe. Like, I made that bold claim, like, I want to sign to a record label. But when I signed with the record label, I want it to be literally this. They've got to have this. And I want the perfect scenario.
Yeah.
And
all your skill set from the basketball playing days professionally, when you went into those meetings and you were like, this is everything. This is all that I am.
Yeah.
And it's coming back.
Yeah, it's an amazing scenario. Like being able to talk through that, I've got managers now, but going through that time, I was just talking myself with a label.
Mm-hmm.
And over the last like couple of years of having discussions with like different publishers, different labels, these are all scenarios that I'd be having like myself, and feeling confident in those rooms and growing in confidence in this is all from what I kind of the things that I gathered and learned along the way. So those things were super valuable. But yeah, it's literally a dream come true to have the type of deal that I've got with 604, and just to have someone, more than anything, just to have someone be like, we believe in what you're doing. Like, I can't communicate how amazing that is for someone like me who's just had to go through so much adversity. I think it's important for people who go through a lot of adversity that if you get blessings as well, you have to acknowledge them as well. Like, so my life isn't just adversity. My life is these amazing opportunities and these amazing blessings and these amazing champions that have given me these opportunities as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we spoke the other day, I think being able to feel so grateful, this level of grateful, is completely because I went through that much adversity.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And it's wonderful too, because you were able to get a lot of creative autonomy when you signed your contract.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, definitely. I think one of the first conversations I had with the label was just about the fact that they are an artist-friendly label, and I'm sure every label will communicate that. But like, I did a lot of my own research, and they firstly just put their money where their mouth is. That's just as simple as I can make it. Being able to, showing that level of belief in me when I don't have billions of streams and I don't have this and I don't have that, just off of what my talent and how I've communicated, like being able to invest in me, and then not wanting to change what I wanted to do. And that is not something that they've just talked about. That's something that they've really delivered on. I wrote a bunch of songs that I was going to release this year, and I had a plan to release a song every month. And then I wrote an album, and I was fully expecting them to be like, well, we'll forget about these songs. We'll just concentrate on the album, and we'll put the album out next year, and we'll do this long lead up and blah, blah, blah. That's what I expected, just from like how other people's scenarios go. But they were just like, we love your singles. We want to start putting your own songs out now in the way that you want to put them out. So yeah, we want to, I was like, you sure you want me to do it like once a month? They were like, yes. What songs do you like? These songs? Okay, great, cool. And so they were, they have all the knowledge, all the like advice. If you need any help, if you, there isn't a scenario between Jonathan Simkin, who runs the label, all the way down. There isn't a scenario they haven't gone through in the music industry. And so they're completely there to be able to communicate things and help you through. And that has been completely true in my scenario so far. But at the same time, I really sense I really sense that I'm the leader of this Mauvey project. And that sounds like a weird thing to say, because you would think that every artist would be the leader of their project, but obviously that's not the case. But in my scenario, I really, really feel like I'm the leader of the Mauvey project. And I've always just wanted a scenario, not where I'm the leader, but where I've got a team that like is just like, okay, let's all get to work, let's go. And now I've got that.
Yeah, the infrastructure is there for you to do
Absolutely.
your best.
Yeah. And, you know, expectation wise, like, you know, one of the most comforting things is that, like, I am unbelievably, as you've gathered already, I'm unbelievably ambitious, because I think the stakes are enormous. Like, I want to distribute love. Like, that's what I'm doing on planet Earth, period. Like, so it is not a game or a joke for me I take everything extremely seriously. That's, you know, and I'm a competitor. I want to win at the highest level. I want to be on the highest platforms, because the biggest platforms are going to reach the most people. And I communicated all this to 604, and there is just this sense of like calm and confidence with how they respond to me, and that's what I really like. So they're not like, hey, let's temper your expectations. They're like, we hear your expectations, like, you know, and we're willing to work with you. And, you know, there hasn't been any like, we're gonna do this and we're gonna do that, and this is how there isn't any of that kind of like blowing smoke or saying things that they can't deliver. It's just like, okay, you want to do this, we want you to do this, let's all try and do our best.
Right.
And wherever we get to, we get to.
Support, consistency.
Yeah. And just in the back of my mind, because I know how I am, I'm just like, oh, we're gonna do it. Like, I'm not saying that, I'm not putting any pressure on anybody, but like in my mind, I'm like, the upper echelon of what I want to do, I'm going to do. And that's it. That's where I'll leave that one.
And they're there for the ride. So that's amazing. So just a few more questions for you.
Honestly, I've spoken so much.
No, this is what it is.
Yeah. Just blabbed on and on.
No, I love it. This is your time to tell your story. You have some new music coming out this week.
Yes.
Oh, by the time this comes out, the music will be out. But that's so exciting. I think this Friday, no?
This Friday, yeah. Friday the 9th of July, 2021.
Big day.
Big day in history. No, my debut single with 604 is actually out, and it's going to be called, it is called 9. It's a double single, 9 in helium. And yeah, it's just the start of the journey. I guess I'll tell you off mic some of the exciting visual. I think I've already told you.
Yeah. We chatted about it. So we'll keep that for other people to see. But you also did this amazing campaign where you dropped off 18 roses, right?
18 bunches of bouquets of flowers to, and it was just to say thank you. Like this, I hope that you, people listening, I'm just grateful. I'm just grateful to be here. I'm grateful for the opportunity, and I'm grateful for the people who've helped. So that's just what I did. I just went. It was actually the hottest day of the year. I don't know why I did it on that day, but it was the hottest day of the year, and an amazing local florist. Her brand is called Love Her Wild, and yeah, she made on very short notice 18 like unique bunches of flowers, kind of Mauvey colored as well. So I just across the 9 days of July, so the 1st to the 9th, I just went to 2 people's houses a day and then delivered these flowers. So I filmed all 18 on that one day. And yeah, it was the poor cameraman, Roman from 604 was, he was along for the ride, and yeah, it was just great to honestly, it was great to just do it. It was nice to get it on camera and we put it out on social media or whatever. But like I didn't care about that part. I really just cared about like capturing it and just honestly looking through. I've looked through them like every day. I'm just looking through them like, man, like this. I'll always remember this, and hopefully they'll always remember it too.
Oh, I'm sure they will. Second to last question. If you were going to, as either Mauvey or Ransford, or both, say something to young Ransford who was bullied and told he couldn't do things, what would you say to him, knowing what you know now?
I would say, well done, mate, because I couldn't have done anything differently. Like, I'd say, congratulations, well the frick done, because you got bullied, but you picked yourself up. You didn't waste any time. I wasted no time at all. Yes, I was hurt and blah, 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 but I picked myself up, and I had like great parents or whatever, but I didn't go crying to them when I got bullied. I picked myself up and I worked. And I got bullied some more, and I picked myself up again, and I worked. I got bullied by adults who should have known better. I got bullied by kids who didn't know better. Like, it didn't matter. I picked myself up. So I would actually I'd give my younger self a pat on the back and be like, thank you, well done. That's what I'd say.
And my final question, and it's the question I ask every guest, and I think you answered it in part already with, the impact you want to make it is spreading the love. But the question is, with what you do, what is it that you want to leave behind in the world? So maybe it's an expansion.
Yeah, that's a really good question. I want to distribute love. That's what I want to do. So, I said when I was 17 at the school in Millersburg, I wrote down like, I'm gonna change the world. And then I was when you're like at that age, you question every question. So I was like, how? When people say, oh, I want to change the world, and then the obvious question after that is how? Like, how are you going to actually do this outlandish claim that and then I'm like, okay, I really thought about that. Like over like a year and a bit, I really thought about that question. How am I going to change the world in my own little way or in a big way? And then, so I broke it down and I thought, what does the world need? Like, if you're going to make it a better place, you've got to fill it with something that it needs. And like, it needs love. And then like, that's pretty much all we actually need. If you can distribute love and it's something that is inexpensive, every single human being in the world can distribute love. And it doesn't matter the size of the level. You can distribute love to one human being. You can distribute love to an animal. You can distribute love to the environment. Like, it's so easy to just be kind, to just distribute love, to tell someone that you love them, to get them a bunch of flowers, to remember their birthday or whatever it is. It's actually so easy to distribute love. So all I want to be able to do is to be able to blow up that message and carry that message through my career. That's what I want to do. Like, so through my music, I live for those moments on stage in between songs when I can just tell people love each other like that. I don't even have to say much more than that. Like, and hopefully if I get to the Grammys or the Oscars or whatever platform, I'm going to use my time to talk about love. That's what's going to be the most consistent thing. I'm using my time on this podcast to talk about love. Every time I get an opportunity to speak, that's what I'm going to speak about. My music is the journey of love. If you listen to all the words, I'm speaking about the different facets of love, whether it be heartbreak, whether it be, when you're in love, infatuation, friendship, all of these things. I talk about them in metaphors or completely directly in my music. So people listening to my music you're going to experience some type of love. And if you listen to me speak, you're going to hear that that's what I want to spread. And hopefully if you speak to people who know me, who talk about me, that's what they're going to share about me. And then so on and so forth. And so, yeah, I mean, that all I am existing for now, and and going full circle, that's the best way that I can honor my friend who passed away, is by doing the thing that I know for a fact that he was doing, probably subconsciously. He was distributing love. Every smile that he smiled, he was distributing love. Like every person's day that he brightened, like he was not a fighter. This whole like, I'm a lover, not a fighter, that's what he was. He was literally just like a lover. And so I'm so happy that I was able to find the thing that would honor him, my uncle, my mom, my dad, like the people that I care about, the things that are going to honor them the most is more love. And so, like, it is the absolute least I can do, and I'm just going to do the least. I'm going to do the most with the least. The least I can do is deliver love, and I'm going to do the most with that. That's it.
And in the first coffee we had, and you were telling me about this, in distributing and spreading love, what I had said to you then, and I will say it again, is that that I think that you are love. Like, you already radiate that. In the few conversations that we have, I can feel it. And I'm just so excited for everything that's happening for you. Thank you for sharing your hearts.
Yeah.
And for being here. And I hope for many, many more conversations with you to come in the future. And I'm really happy that you've come into my life.
Thank you very much. I'm honored to have come into your life, and I'm really glad. I'm excited for lots of off mic hangouts, and I think it's going to be fun.
I think it'll be great. Thank you for being here.
You're welcome. Thanks everyone for listening.
If you enjoyed that last conversation, be sure to check out more episodes of The Craft on Spotify and guest photo galleries on the website at wearethecraft.com. Thanks again for listening.